So we are now in week 4 of the NHL. Let's give an update on the standings. First, the Atlantic Division. The Panthers are in first with only one OT loss, and they are followed by the Sabres and the Red Wings. Leafs are currently sitting in 5th place in the division. Obviously, as a side note, it's still really early. All the divisions are still really close, within 2 or so points of one another, so still early to panic. And then in regards to the Sabres, I think they've been surprising everyone. Arguably one of the most surprising teams so far this season, with the way that they've started and the way that people projected them to start after everything this team went through last season and in the off season, blowing up their team. I know I've been surprised by their performance. We'll just have to see if they are able to keep it up. I don't think they will be able to keep it up, but I've been wrong so far, so I could be wrong. And then Habs, also wanted to point out, they're not doing great at all. They've got 2 wins and 7 losses, so it's not looking very good for them either. And then going on into the Metro Division, Carolina's the only undefeated team still in the NHL. So we'll have to wait and see what team is going to break that streak for them. But they've got 7 wins so far. Freddie has been having an unreal start to his season for Carolina. Complete opposite of October Freddie for the Leafs, which is great for him. I mean, he's performing unreal. But it also sucks, and I also hate it because, I mean, the same thing can be said for Hyman, which we'll talk about later, but it hurts seeing old Leafs players, because that happens every time. Old Leafs players going from the Leafs to their new team and then having unreal seasons. So anyway, so after Carolina, they are followed by the Caps and the Rangers, and Pittsburgh is in last. Crosby did return, I believe, on Saturday night, so maybe that'll be a boost for Pittsburgh. And then in the Central Division, St. Louis is starting on top after this week, followed by the Jets and the Wild. Things are still really bad for the Blackhawks and the Coyotes. Neither of them have won any games. Both have 7 losses. Chicago has 2 overtime losses, and Coyotes have 1. So, like the Habs, still not going very well for either of them. And then moving on to the Pacific Division, Calgary takes first place so far. They are followed by the Oilers and the Sharks. Now, in regards to the Oilers, Hyman is doing great. He's having a great start to his season as well. But I would also like to point out 2 things. One, the Oilers are not in a hard division at all. As you can see, the Pacific Division is arguably the easiest out of all 4. So going from the North to the Pacific, like I discussed last time, not really a big difference. So they are in an easier division. And also on the Oilers, it is not that hard to make yourself known. And it's not that hard to be labeled as one of the best on the team, because there are only like 2 or 3 best on the team. I mean, you have your McDavid and your Draisaitl and stuff. So I like for Hyman going from the Leafs, where there was so much talent and skill and buzz around a lot of the players. I mean, he was playing with Marner, Matthews, he had Tavares on his team. He had quite a few players on his team that he was being compared to. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it's not hard for someone to go to the Oilers and make themselves known, because there aren't many others on the team. We'll leave it at that. And then in regards to the Sharks, they are also going through a battle with COVID that sidelined a bunch of players and coaches, specifically Saturday night. They did come through with a win. They played well. Hopefully it doesn't turn into an outbreak for the team like we saw last year with Vancouver. And then again, similar to the Habs, the Kings and the Ducks have only 2 wins and 6 losses. They're sitting at the bottom of the Pacific. So we'll see if they continue to slide down, or maybe they'll make a shift. Who knows? So those are the standings for the end of week 4 in the NHL. Come back next week for another video on an update on the standings for week 5. Thanks for tuning in.